I'm AC Brown, and you're listening to Is My Aura on Straight, a podcast designed to help you start living from your core instead of your conditioning. Each week, we'll discuss topics ranging from human design, astrology, metaphysics, spiritual self-development, and everything in between. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Is My Aura on Straight. I am your host, AC Brown. I am your spiritual doula, intuitive strategist, psychic channel, and human design expert, and I'm also an entrepreneur, and I want to thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Is My Aura on Straight. Now, of course, you know the title of this episode. We are going to be talking about manifestors and my top 5 in order of my top 5 favorite picks for them as far as aura types are concerned. So let's get started. Oh, before we get started, reflectors are next, and then after reflectors we're going to do profiles, and then we're going to just go into some other things that are a little bit metaphysical, spiritual self-development, a couple of controversial topics involving the whole, I guess I don't want to say controversial, that's like wrong, just some different topics, piggybacking off of human design. So human design is the baseline around here, and then we're going to build and build and build. So just like other podcasts talk about astrology as the baseline, and using your signs, for me, my work is going to be human design as the baseline. So knowing your aura type is extremely important as the baseline, and then we're going to build. So let's get started with today's episode. So manifestors. Hi, manifestors. I love you, manifestors. So manifestors as friends, I get along with manifestors, like especially female manifestors. Like we just like gel. It's like just like a nice big like hug. And like I love my manifestors. Manifestors in love, but we're gonna get to I'm gonna get to that. So if you haven't listened to the what each aura type needs for a relationship or to be loved, go back and listen to that, because I'm not going to touch too much on that. I'm just going to skim it a little bit. So for manifestors, of course, they're here to inform people, to act. They can, they're here to just initiate stuff. So manifestors, when they're in love or in relationships, it's not necessarily challenging. I want to say that there's some tweaks. There's nothing, and I'll say this about everything: astrology, human design, any type of spiritual modality or personality tests, the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram. There's really no bad. It's maybe a challenge. And, just a little disclaimer, I don't care if somebody is, your charts match up, whatever, it's astrology, human design. If that person's an asshole, then don't be with an asshole just because your charts match. And the opposite too. Sometimes you gel with people who on paper it looks a hot mess, but it works for you. So don't make this like the final. But I will say that when I've read couples in human design stuff with their charts, and then they report back to me after they've received their reading, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so right. They're like this or he's like that. And it works for us. And sometimes you do meet people who really just get you and who you gel with. And I am a true believer, and I'm going to do a podcast episode about twin flames and soulmates and all the other stuff, because I have my thoughts on that. But I am a true believer that love should not be hard. You should not have to go through a lot of drama. It shouldn't be a force kind of thing. Of course, it's going to be work. That is different. Work and hard work are two different things. But I don't think that love should be filled with all of these drama-filled things and emotional taxing stuff. I hate when I see people that go through that, and when people get regular readings from me, like me and my guide session, like a channel session, and we talk about love and stuff. I'm going to keep it real with you. And sometimes people don't listen, but it's all good. You have the final say, you have free will. But I hate when people struggle, because I've struggled in love, and struggling is not fun. It is exhausting. It is exhausting. And we are not here to struggle in love, or in life for that. There will be challenges that'll just be life kind of things, but struggle, I feel, is optional, especially when you have the tools to make changes, especially in love. And, that tool to make a change is usually breaking up. If you're, sometimes people don't want to do that. We get, and I'm just going to take a side note with this podcast. So I know a lot of people might not hear, but maybe this was just meant for Spirit to say this on the Manifestor podcast. But a lot of times we are so used to, and our bodies are programmed to hurt and to drama, and that's safe for us, and that's a comfort zone for us. But I'm going to talk about that when I talk about soulmates, because I really want to do a podcast on soulmates, twin flames, karmic relationships, all of that stuff, because some of y'all are out here a hot mess. Some of these Facebook posts I see about in these groups about twin flames, and it's just a whole mess. So, but anyway, I digress. Let me get back into this manifestors. So manifestors, like I said, I love my manifestors in friendships, relationships for a projector, but we're going to get to that order. So for manifestors, my number one draft pick for manifestors in love is another manifestor. That is my top pick. I know actually a few couples who are manifestors. And it's rare, of course, because there's only 8% of you. So that's, of course, going to be a little bit of a challenge. But that is my top pick. And some of the reasons why, just for that informing part that you guys have, the privacy that you need, leaving people alone when you need them to, also having two people in a relationship that don't need each other is very good. And I say that not in a negative way, like, oh, well, why be in a relationship if you don't need the person? Some people do question that. And I beg to differ, especially when it comes to manifestors. Manifestors need to be, manifestors need to not have an authority kind of figure in a relationship. It needs to be an even playing field of whether or not you're going to listen to this. I don't want to even say listen to, like, oh, if you're not going to listen to your partner or not, that's a little much. I want to say that it's good to have two people who want to do their own thing and make a conscious choice to include the other person in their life. That's a better way to say that. And that's what manifestors do. However, I have seen manifestors have trouble. And this is usually when they don't know they're manifestors. Usually when they don't know that they're manifestors, there's a lot of push and pull. There's a lot of not informing each other or feeling like I don't want to inform them. That is a definite problem. And then when people find out they're manifestors, especially two manifestors in a relationship, everything makes sense. And for manifestor relationships, the biggest thing is going to be communication. And just manifestors with anyone. The biggest thing is going to be manifestors communicating properly with people. Because they have they don't want to ask questions. They don't want people to ask them questions. They just want to go about their business and do stuff. But unfortunately, that's not how the world works, and that's not how relationships work. But there has to be some ground rules and some communication that takes place within manifestor relationships, that if I say, I'm going to Target, then the manifestor partner needs to just let them go to Target and then text them what they want from Target, instead of asking them the questions like, oh, why are you going to Target? What do you need from Target? That's going to get on a manifestor's nerve. Just period. It's going to stress them out. They're going to be annoyed, super duper annoyed. So the next ones, the next lineup for manifestors, I'm going to go with manifesting generators. And of course, that is for the obvious reason. Now, manifestors, quiet as is kept, they can appear to have defined sacral centers. I know a lot of manifestors who they have the appearance of working a lot or doing a lot, and that is false. It is because manifestors are starters. So they're technically not working things through. They're just starting a bunch of things in general. So that's why it looks like they work a lot. In some cases, that is not the case at all. They're just around here starting a bunch of stuff. And so that's why it looks like they're busy, but they're really not. They're just doing busy work. Because and I'm going to do one on, business and all of that stuff, podcast. But anytime I coach a manifestor and we talk about stuff, manifestors are starters. They don't finish through. They have trouble completing stuff, unless they have a team or unless they have a process. That's why I'm always telling manifestors to get into cycles of completion, not because you can't start all these things, but starting a bunch of stuff, you're just going to have nothing to show for it. You're just going to have a bunch of ideas that you started. So you have to get into a cycle of completing things faster, or within your energy kind of zone. So yes, manifestors, my top pick for you guys are manifestors. The second would be manifesting generators. And that is another thing, because manifesting generators also have that whole, they don't need you kind of personality, because they're busy doing stuff. They're busy working. They're busy multitasking. And they're that whole keep up, or leave them alone kind of thing. When it comes to having a manifestor as the partner, they're going to respect that, because a manifestor is used to just doing stuff. So the manifesting generator is doing stuff, but also completing things. So I also think that that's another great person to have in a manifestor's life, because they get to see someone doing a lot of things, starting a lot of stuff, but also completing it. Multitasking, but completing things in their life. So that's what I do love about that. However, one of the downsides of this manifesting generator relationship is that the manifesting generator will get a little frustrated with the manifestor because they are not completing stuff. It happens all the time. I see it, I hear it. They get upset because they're not completing things. And so while I do really love this relationship, that's probably the only downside that I would say with a manifesting generator and a manifestor is the MG is going to just be like, wow, here you go, doing something else, and you haven't completed something, or you haven't finished something. They manifesting generators understand busy work, but manifesting generators are executors. They complete stuff, whether it's efficient or like right the first time, they still complete stuff. And so a manifestor, depending on what level they are within their design, meaning that how long that they've been, practicing their strategy, how long that they've been figuring out the tweaks, there's going to be a lot of unfinished business with the manifestor. And that's going to get on the manifesting generator's nerves, for sure. But they love each other. They can accept each other's like speed and process of doing stuff. Honestly, I like this combination. So it's like a toss, like a tie between 1 and 2. It just depends. When it comes to manifestors and manifesting generators, because finding another manifesting generator is, it's going to be hard. It's 8% of the population. So, it's interchangeable. If you have to, marry or date or be in a relationship, it would be a manifesting generator. That would be my next for manifestors. The next one I would have to say, and this is another shocker to some people probably, would be a reflector. Reflectors don't get the credit that they deserve. Let me just say this. So I'm going to talk about that in their episode. Reflectors don't get the credit that they deserve. Yes, there's only 2% of them. But if you know a reflector or are friends with a reflector or have been in a relationship with a reflector. Reflectors, they, people sleep on reflectors a lot, and they shouldn't. And that is because reflectors, and when I do the business podcast, I'll talk about that. But reflectors really they can really do what they want to do as long as their energy feels good. And so I like to say that the manifestor reflector relationship, the reason why that's my third favorite is because that there's a level of respect that you have the reflector who you need to respect their energy. The same with the manifestor. You need to respect their privacy, but it's actually a really good mesh, because if a reflector is really in alignment with who they are, they're already mirroring somebody or something in their life, and it's very consistent for them. So whether that's work, they're mirroring, their job. Like I said, reflectors make the ultimate company employee. That's just a fact. Anybody can argue me down with that. They make the best employees. And I'm not saying that everybody, wants to be an employee or everybody has to have a business. But if you are going to hire someone to be an expert at a particular job in your company, or reflectors make the best like mascots for a company, because they are here to mirror. So they're going to, whatever department they work in, they're going to mirror stuff. But I say that to say, in a reflector's life, because they have that mirroring capability, is that they're going to be consistency is extremely important for reflectors. So when you have a manifestor can learn so much from a reflector, especially being in a relationship, because they're going to see the consistency that this person has to get things done. They're also going to be able to notice the energy waves that reflectors go through. So reflectors, they go through each of the gates. They feel that energy throughout the whole 29 days of the cycle, etc. So a manifestor is going to see that, how their energy works. Sometimes a reflector's up, sometimes they're down. Same thing with a manifestor. They have that up and down too, because they don't have any sacral energy at all. So, but you have someone, again, completing stuff, someone who needs consistency, someone who needs a schedule, someone who needs planning. Manifestors can learn. This is a manifestor reflector relationship is a good learning experience, especially for a reflector that is in alignment with what they're doing, or who has a job or a career or a business that they truly love. You're going to see a lot of consistency. You're going to see a lot of just even flow of getting things done. You're going to see processes. And that's what a manifestor needs in their life, because sometimes manifestors, and this, I hear manifestors all the time, oh, people think I'm annoying, or it's not that you're annoying, but your aura can be annoying to people is because you're all over the place. I mean, any manifestor I've talked to, they've started so many things, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I've started things too, etc. But manifestors have trouble completing stuff. And so that can be very off-putting at times. So that's why I like this as number 3, is because reflectors can be really good learning experiences for manifestors. And to be in a reflector relationship, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn consistency. You'll learn how to do stuff. It's very, very good. Now, the next one, if you are a manifestor and you had to, the next one, number 4, I would have to say a generator. And the generator also the generator for a manifestor, the only thing that's going to be I don't want to say a major problem, but is going to be I don't even say a major problem. It's going to be annoying to the generator is the manifestor telling them what to do. They have to get that communication down. And like I said, generators, they're going to need you. And that's kind of the challenge with the manifestor, because the manifestor has to be in a position to hold space and to have space for the generator and to understand that part of them. I think that's the only challenge. That's the only downside, I would say. But other than that, I like the manifestor generator relationship, of course, for reasons that are extremely important, which are manifestors do really well in relationships when they have examples of someone completing stuff, someone who's organized, someone who executes. And a generator is going to do that extremely on a consistent basis. I'm not saying that manifestors are all over the place and they don't know what they're doing. Manifestors are creators, they're leaders, they're informers. They're here to do those things. But any relationship, and that's why I'm going to do a relationship, just a general one about spirituality and spiritual relationships and karmic stuff, and just my thoughts on relationships in general. And what I've learned this far from all my heartbreaks and just learning about myself, relationships really should be in place. Any romantic relationship that you are in, it should literally not necessarily complete you. And I don't want to say that because you shouldn't come to a relationship, half-ass and incomplete or whatever, but it really should add value to your life. And we get into relationships that don't add value to our life. I see it I've done it, that don't add value to your life at all. And we stay there and we have all of these trauma, and drama wounds, as I like to call them, that we're used to, and we just stay in the relationship. And that's what I love about human design versus astrology compatibility, is because human design is the how you function, how your mind works, how, the core of who you are. Yes, you have your astrology and North Node, all of those things do come into play. But the day-to-day of you fulfilling your natal chart is going to be in human design. So human design for me is a little bit more important, meshing those charts together. And when I see a chart and I see, channels match up and I see things activated, I get excited. I'm like, wow, you two really have the power to do this, the power to do that. These are going to be your challenges. And I say that all to say is that your relationship should be an enhancement to who you already are. And it should be constant enhancements. And when we are in relations with people who don't enhance us, it's really pointless. It really is. And like, I've been in pointless relationships. Granted, I've learned stuff, but some of them are really pointless. As far as where I wanted to go and where I'm going with my life. And then, when they left, you can see that hindsight is like, oh, you really weren't supposed to be here, but I was dumb. And, we all make mistakes, but say that to say is that manifestors truly need examples, and love is extremely important for them. Regardless if they say it or not. Yes, they want to be left alone. They might not need you, but they like love. They want to be loved. They want to have that loving relationship. And so manifestors need examples of that. And that's why I like generators as well. So the final, of course, is projectors. Projectors is my least favorite for manifestors in romantic relationships. Friendships, perfect. It works. Especially when the manifestor listens to the projector. It really works. In friendships. In relationships, what I have seen is I don't see a lot of unity. I don't see true partnership. I feel, and what I've seen are two people doing their own thing who just happen to be in a relationship together. One person has a totally different perspective on life. The other person has a different perspective. And this is not all projector manifestor relationships, but what I've seen is that it's very one-sided. The manifestor has their own agenda, and so does the projector. And then you have the projector who's trying to get the manifestor on board, and the manifestor's like, well, no, I don't want to do that. And then you have two non-sacral energy people together who, have this enlightenment. There's a lot of who's going to, respect my value first? Who's going to respect my energy? And then you have a manifestor who's like, well, I'd rather be left alone. And then a projector's like, well, I want to need you. And it's just a lot. It's a lot of push and pull. And then you have the manifestor who's literally doing their own thing in the relationship, and the projector, it just doesn't feel good to have someone who doesn't include you. And that's why this is my least favorite, is because manifestors already have issues communicating, informing, if you want to say, especially when they don't know that they're manifestors. So on top of it, when you have someone who doesn't know that they're a manifestor, and they already have issues communicating with people in general. So it's just a challenge for a projector to feel loved when you have a manifestor who's just doing their own thing. When they're operating on this, I don't want to say selfish, they're operating on a personal agenda. That's my experience. I've dated a manifestor before. I've had other friends who are projectors who've dated manifestors. Manifestor friendships with me are perfect. It's perfect. It's great. Relationships, romantic, it's a real challenge because of the manifestors. The way that they don't need you is very hurtful. You feel like you're alone. You feel like you're doing it by yourself. And that can all change, but you have to have a willing manifestor who wants to communicate and wants to be open and wants to share and wants to include you in their process. And normally manifestors don't want to do that. They just want you to get it, and to understand that. But it just takes work. It's probably one of the most challenging relationships that I've been in. It takes a lot of work. And if the manifestor is not willing to do the work, then it is really hard to sustain, because you go into a lot of push and pull cycles. You just go into a lot of just your feelings being unheard. And so if a manifestor is in a relationship with a projector and you really love them, really try and figure that out, because they're hurt. The projector's hurting, guaranteed, whether it's same sex, whether it is a heterosexual relationship. The projector's hurt. Their feelings are hurt on the low. Regardless of how they show up, their feelings are hurt on the low. So those are my top 5 picks for my manifestors. If you have any questions, of course, you can definitely DM me or email me. And I'm still offering relationship readings for relationships. The link will be in the show notes, and I love doing those. I've been doing a few of those, so they've been really, really fun, and just seeing how couples mesh and all of that stuff. And I'm gonna do a episode on just relationships in general, spiritual relationships, karmic relationships, twin flames, all of that stuff, and so we can talk about those things, because to me that is probably the most fascinating thing for me, is when human design is people working with each other in business and in relationships, and how amazing it is. And like I said, I've been studying this for a while, and I've been looking at just celebrity charts, celebrity couples, people who I know in real life, and how they interact with people. And it's really fascinating how this blueprint that you have of yourself, you find the right person to match up with that, and you guys can be unstoppable, especially romantically, but most importantly, in career and life too. So it's really cool. So thank you so much once again for listening to this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. Next up is Reflectors, and until next time, make sure you have a great day filled with good vibes and great energy, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Is My Aura on Straight? Make sure you follow me on Instagram at AC Brown, and also check out my website for products and services at www.acbrown.com. And until we meet again, make sure you have a great week filled with good vibes and good energy.